Dreadful. Hello. Sorry.
Welcome. Hi, I'm Alicia Biggs. I'm the moderator for this panel. And we were just discussing, because we know you're extremely short on time right now. We have some questions collected. We'll ask
Yes,
a
please.
couple. Could we email the ones that we don't get to you and have you follow
Yeah,
up?
absolutely,
On your own schedule?
absolutely.
Perfect.
That'd be brilliant. Yeah, I can stay for like 15 minutes. I think I've got time.
Perfect. So I'm going to kick it off and ask, oh, actually first, what do you prefer we call you by? John, Johnny, Mr. Sim?
Johnny. Johnny
Okay.
is generally what I go by in life.
Perfect. All right, Cameron, I'm going to unmute you to ask our question. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Johnny.
Hello.
Huge fan. So my question is, when you were writing the script for the Magnus archives, did you find yourself becoming so attached to the characters that you felt like you knew them in real life? Because I do that with my own characters, and I didn't know if you kind of went through the same thing. So like, if you did something terrible to your character, would you be like, wow, I just hurt my friend? Or did you just like whatever?
To a certain extent, there's writing horror. There is a level of detachment there. Like I know I think of characters often more like almost more like action figures, I guess, or like playing pieces that I'm sort of moving around, especially trying to structure something like big and intricate, like Magnus. I think there is an aspect of like when you get to know them really well, they will do things that surprise you. But I think there's I've never put it like this, I've never felt bad for doing something unpleasant to a character in Magnus. In fact, I often feel quite I know I find there's a satisfaction in it, not in the causing the pain, but in the like, I don't know, if you set a character up really well and you find exactly the right way to hurt them, there's a professional satisfaction in that.
I get it.
Thank you, Cameron. I'm going to jump over to Paige next.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I'm a really big fan too, so I'm a little but yeah, I'm cosplaying Jerry Keith right now.
Yeah, no, I can say that. That's
Thank you. My question was, besides seasons 4 and 5, which episode or episodes kind of like did you remember the most, or were you most memorable like towards the plot? Like probably prefer like season 1 or 2. Yeah.
It's a tricky one, because like often the episodes that stick with me tend to be like the big plot ones.
Right.
But like season 1's very interesting because like generally when it came to season 2 and 3, like there were certain episodes that were really good and like really stuck with me, but ended up not being particularly interesting, like connected to the plot, things like Lost John's Cave. That one has always stuck with me, but at the same time, it's interesting balancing it against something like some of the early ones like Do Not Open, which is it feels good, but that one spiraled out into some through lines that went right through the show, whereas other ones didn't. Yeah, but like I know it always depends on which day you ask me in terms of which episodes really stick with me. I've always got a real fondness for some of the historical ones, and the ones where like I ended up going, the ones that let me do really weird deep dives into history and that sort of thing. But I don't know if I can pluck a specific episode or episodes out of the early seasons like that.
Thank you, Paige.
Thank you.
Julie, go ahead with your question.
Oh my God, I can't, what was it? Oh, my question. I remember my question. Your voice, you made my pandemic. Alicia got me hooked on you, and you literally carried me through awful pandemic time. So thank you for everything.
Very touching, thank you.
I just want to like say that because I've said it to you, but I want to say it again. And thank you so much for your time. My question is, I wanted to know, so there's a weird disconnect I think I found when I listened to your whole story, and then I found a lot of fan art. Alicia and I would share fan art. All of us would just share like, the little things we find on the internet. And you've created these amazing characters that I think have like a life of their own, that have become part of like a much bigger thing that must be super cool to be involved in. But I find interestingly, you named yourself. I mean, you didn't name yourself. You didn't come out of your mom's womb and name yourself. But like at some point, you gave the main character your name, and there has to be this weird kind of disconnect when you're talking with people about how you like. So how do you manage that?
I mean, there's a consciously is the answer. Like I've spoken before about how it came about pretty accidentally, in the sense that like it was originally going to be a much more anthology show, and I was going to be like a sort of the fictionalized host, like Jonathan Sims, the archivist. But then like pretty quickly the meta plot started to develop, but at no point, like an idiot, did I say, oh, maybe we should change the main character, maybe we should change the archivist's name so it's not actually me. And since that point, it's been very much a matter of like trying to consciously enforce that distance where possible. Like in the scripts, I've always written him as John, like John, and like just very much. And the thing is, past season 1, there's basically no overlap with the character and myself. And yeah, also I guess like the archivist voice becomes a lot more like becomes more distinct, and something that's more locked in and comfortable for me as it goes on. So that also helps to like I'm dropping into the character.
Awesome. Thank you. I have a question from Rihanna. Rihanna, if you can unmute yourself and go ahead. Oh, we're not hearing your mic, so I will go ahead and ask on your behalf. Their question is the lighter that Martin uses the same as John's lighter, because they both share the same audio sound?
The lighter Martin uses at the end. Yes, I think yes. That's the wait. Which lighter does Martin? Oh, no, I don't think so. It could be. I don't think so. That wasn't a deliberate thing in the script. But one thing, like a Zippo is a universally pleasing sound. So I think that's probably why the sound designers reached for it twice.
Got it.
Like it certainly could be. That's not something I'd specifically marked in the script, though.
All right, and switching gears a little bit to some of your other projects, there's a question from Pearl regarding the games company. Pearl,
Yeah, MacGuffin Company.
Yeah, hi. I'm a big fan. Hoping to read your book soon, but it's still in back order. But I'm following your and Sasha's games company on Patreon, and I love all of the settings. I've been trying to play more of them with my friends. But I noticed that for one thing, I was just kind of wondering where the ideas for those come from, but also specifically, I noticed a lot of religious, like over and undertones in like whole games, but also like specific endings of certain of the games. And I was wondering like where that comes from and what's
like generally speaking, the ideas come from like discussions and batting back and forth, and like we like love taking tropes and settings and the sort of thing and genres, and like kind of mixing them up a bit, and taking settings that you might expect and giving them a twist or a genre that you might not like. Magical ancient Rome is a not uncommon genre, but twisting it into something that's like gladiatorial pro wrestling is via a sports movie it's just a lot of fun. In terms of the religious thing, I don't think it's a conscious decision as much as a reflection of both myself and Sasha have very different but quite religion was in different ways significant in both of our upbringings, and so that dovetails that links up very closely with how we think about choice morality, and like often when we are looking for like interesting role-playing choices or interesting twists, like that is something that we end up engaging with a little bit. And also it's an interesting thing to think about and engage with, I think.
Thank you, Pearl. And continuing on with some of your other projects, but also kind of bringing it back to the Magnus Archives, Nico asks, how do you think Jonny DeVille from the Mechanisms would get along with the archivist?
Not very well. I don't think he has a lot of time for nerds and Poindexters.
All right, and Bridget, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, hello. Similar
Hello.
to Julie's question, I was wondering how you balance your own ideas of your characters, your designs, with knowing that the fans are just going to take parts of them and run with them in completely different directions.
A lot of it is just sort of being aware of it, and I feel like it's in knowing what details are necessary and what details aren't. And like generally, if a detail isn't necessary, I tend not to include it, because like you discover quite quickly that every insignificant detail you think that you're including, you're actually like smashing 100 pieces of fan art. At one point I mentioned the color of Elias's eyes, I think, and there was a huge outcrying to something that for me was not a significant detail in the writing. So there's an awareness of like, well, if a detail's not important, don't like just leave it. Like let people read it as they wish. But also you need to be comfortable with the fact that if a detail is important, you've just got to accept that, like, well, this might end up jostling a bunch of fan stuff, and that's sad, but you can't let it make you second guess yourself too much, I think, in terms of making the story moves that you need to. But yeah, it's a strange one, and it also does teach you to like release control over what you've created a little bit, and just get comfortable with it existing out in the world in ways that you absolutely cannot control.
Thank you. I do want to be cognizant of the time. Do you have time for
Yes,
one more question?
I think I have one more time for one more, if that's
okay. So going along the train of fan art, the fan creations have been all over the place, from candles to games to cosplays. Is there any one type of art that really sticks out to you, or something that surprised you that's come out of the fans?
Oh, I mean, just the sheer variety is like it feels like a cheat answer, but like the variety of it, like and some of it that's actually been sent to me, like I've had cross stitch, I've got a mug, I've had a bunch of stickers that I've been putting on the front of my little diary, and like a little zine just full of like art, and it's I there's nothing that has surprised me individually as much as the sheer breadth of it has surprised me and delighted me overall.
Thank you. We are going to have some follow-up questions from Hannah, Nico, Bridget, Cameron, and Paige that we will email you separately, because like I said, we do want to be sensitive of your time.
I do apologize. I've time zones have completely
just seeing your
looped
face
today.
on my screen. I think I speak for everyone on the Zoom right now that we are all just so excited you're here, honored to get the opportunity to meet with you and ask you these really just phenomenal questions, and your responses have been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Well, I look forward to seeing the rest of your questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Julie, I'm dead.